Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave. I'm a proud American from my birth to the grave. 47's the dog, took a bullet for all. Didn't flinch, didn't run, still he answered the call. And we said, be tight, be tight, be tight. Officer Tatum Show. Be tight, be tight, be tight. Officer Tatum Show. Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave. I'm a proud American from my birth to the grave. 47's the dog, took a bullet for all. Didn't flinch, didn't run, still he answered the call. And we said, be tight, be tight, be tight. Officer Tatum Show. Be tight, be tight, be tight. Officer Tatum Show.
If you don't believe that we are in a fight today, you're sleeping under a rock. If you get hit and you lay down and you cry and you fold up in the corner, definitely you will not win the fight. We show up to win. Our culture needs a lot of you young people in here to step up and stand out. There is nothing or no principality, power, division, devil can stop us when we're united. They can only get you when you're divided. When I see the American flag, I see us progressing to something that can be awesome and great. And if you don't plan on winning, then you might as well go on the day.
Be tight, be tight. Officer Tatum Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Officer Tatum Show. Tell me what you think about the intro. As you can tell, this is a new intro. We just tried it out. I think it looks pretty good. I mean, y'all let me know in the comment section. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we got to talk about today. The first thing I want to start with is a police shooting that just irked the living daylights out of me, meaning that I believe that this officer should have never been indicted for this. And y'all know how I feel about officers who I believe are acting in good faith and doing the right thing, and then they get indicted over political reasons. I'm going to start with this. If the man was black that he had shot, it would be worse. I think they'd have charged him with first-degree murder, and they'd be marching today. But because he shot another person who happened to be white, they still want to throw the man under the bus, but they're not publicizing as much. But I want to litigate this. I want to defend this officer, and his family has been going through so much, and he should have never been in this situation to start with. So I'm going to play the news clip so you can see, and then we're going to go through methodically. I'm going to try to make it quick and brief, but we're going to go through methodically, and I'm going to show you why this officer should have never been prosecuted, or not prosecuted, he should have never been indicted, and how the attorney general and all these crooked folks done rigged this up to make the officer look bad, lying to the grand jury or not disclosing true information to the grand jury. Roll the clip.
It happened back in September of 2021. A 49-year-old veteran shot and killed outside of his home here in Mantua Township, Gloucester County. The person who pulled the trigger, a police officer who was called to the scene to investigate. Tonight, that officer faces manslaughter charges. Wednesday night, and the big story on Action News is a Mantua Township officer indicted by a grand jury that determined that the deadly shooting was unjustified. Action News reporter Brianna Gallagher is following the story and is live in Gloucester County tonight with more.
Yeah, Rick, well, the indictment comes down more than a year after Charles Sharp III was shot and killed. Tonight, his brother is speaking out.
He didn't deserve what happened to him by talking to 911 on the telephone. I've seen the footage. Something more could have been done because there was no communication. And I think if that was more, he'd still be here today.
911, where's your emergency?
All right, hold on one second. So before we get to the 911 call, I just want you guys to understand when he said something more could have been done, and I don't know, and it's his brother, so I know people gonna stand up for their family members. The crazy part is when you hear on this 911 call is that this man pulled a gun on the first officer that showed up on the scene, and you're gonna hear it in the 911 call. So you tell me what you think this is about. Call 911. I'm going to get to this in a minute. Y'all, he called 911. He reported something that didn't happen. He said it was a burglary. He said people had guns. None of that happened, just so you know. They did an investigation. There was nothing that he said was substantiated. When the cops arrived on the scene, he pulled a gun on the first guy. The cop drives off, say, drop the gun, and drive off. Okay. We finna get cooking in a minute. Roll it.
Yard. One of them had a gun for sure.
A grand jury has indicted Mantua Township police officer Salvatore Oldrati with one count of manslaughter in connection to the death of 49-year-old Charles Sharp III.
Where?
Sharp was still on the phone with 911 dispatch when he was shot multiple times and killed outside of his home on September 14th, 2021.
Are you talking with my officers?
Authorities say while Oldrati was exiting his police vehicle, the first responding officer yelled, "He's got a handgun on him right there." That's when Oldrati fired his service weapon and struck Sharp multiple times.
He's deeply missed. My brother would do anything for anybody.
A replica .45 caliber firearm was recovered near Sharp. Authorities say only 5 seconds elapsed from the officer exiting his vehicle to when he began firing shots at Sharp, and no verbal commands or warnings were given.
There was no time to even communicate with the other officer about who he was, in front of. And it just saddens me.
Oldrati could face up to 10 years in New Jersey State Prison if convicted.
I forgive you, and I pray for your family.
All right, good. Now, I don't mean to laugh. It's just that it's sad that either the brother is misinformed or he's being disingenuous. He says there's no time. They gave him no time. The officer did not yell commands. This is what they say. This is what's public. This is the public opinion that they put out there and disseminated, that he didn't have no chance and they just ran up on him and shot him down. Okay, let's go to the 911 call / body worn camera. Now you're gonna hear it, and I may stop it so I can make sure you clarify, because I've watched this 100 times. Roll the clip.
911, where's your emergency? 2 intruders in the back of my yard.
What town's it in?
Mantua.
Mantua? Are you off Elm Avenue?
Yeah. One of them had a gun for sure.
Okay. And your phone number's
Yeah.
how many were there?
Threw a firecracker away from to get them to go, but they keep coming back, like looking to the fence.
Okay, hold on for the police. I'm going to transfer you.
Hold on a second. While they transfer, hold on one second. I want y'all to listen to what he's saying. Listen to what he's saying to the dispatcher. Listen to the crimes that he is articulating has been committed. I want you to listen very clear. This is so important. This is going to come up in the trial. Listen to what he's saying to the officers and describing what he is claiming to be pretty much an armed burglary. Roll it.
Police communications.
911 transfer on Elm Avenue in Mantua. Phone number's caller reported intruders on the property, and he believes one of them had a gun.
Hello?
One of them definitely had a gun. I saw him.
What's your address?
257 Elm.
57 Elm Avenue?
257.
257?
Yeah. I mean, I came out and I lit off a quarter stick to scare them away, but they came back.
Okay. How many people were there?
2.
You're on Elm, not West Elm, right?
Not one Elm.
Okay. How many were there? You said 2?
2. That I saw, and then as I came back, there was a woman And
You got a
the thing,
description of the individuals?
I'm gonna say the one guy, he looked like to me maybe in his mid-60s.
You got white males,
long,
black males, Hispanic males?
White, long, like thinning hair. The other guy was a black guy.
So one white male, one black male?
Yeah, and the other girl, I really couldn't get a look. She was behind the fence.
What were they doing?
Well, when I looked out my window, the one guy was in my shed.
In the
getting
shed.
My shed door open. And then
Keep that in
I
mind.
came around to go outside to confront him, and there was a guy fucking in my truck trying to get it open.
Okay, hang on 1 second. Or where are they at now?
It almost looked like somebody's in my truck.
Okay.
Pause it. He says somebody's in the shed and somebody's in his truck. Keep that in mind. Somebody's inside of his shed. The guy's in his truck. He see people. He named them. White male, black male, a girl. He said they had guns. Keep rolling.
Mantua, Cars County. 257 Elm Avenue. 257 Elm Avenue. 911 phone call. Cars advising 2 subjects are on his property. One male was trying to get into his shed. One male possibly in his truck now. He advised that one may have been.
I'll get ready to go in the house, dude. I don't know if these guys. I mean, I have something my grandfather passed down to me. I don't know how legal it is. Okay. In a will.
And what's your name?
Charles Sharp.
Charles Sharp.
Yeah.
Phone number?
Okay, hold on. So what y'all just heard, and it's kind of like they're mixing it. I don't know how they're mixing this in, but that loud beep, one was blurring out the name, but then you heard the louder beep. That was because they had just sent these officers and what we call a level 1 call. When somebody's saying that there's an active, somebody's breaking into sheds and breaking into people's cars and they're armed, that become an active situation. That's level 1. So you hear the tone go off. There alerts the officers that they need to respond code 3, lights and sirens. And now that he have made this information and said all these things about them being armed, about them being in the shed, one of them is in his car actively right now, the officers are responding to a potentially armed robbery, burglary situation. So that's why you hear the tone, and that necessitates the response of the officers. Roll the clip.
There's a guy in my truck.
So he's on the phone the entire time when he gets shot, just so y'all know.
Did you see the weapon?
I mean, it was silver. The moonlight came off of it, and I knew it. I don't know what type it was, but it was a handgun.
Okay. Did you see it, though?
Yes, sir.
Caller said he tried to make contact with the individuals and saw the handgun.
So then I went back in the house. Like I said, my grandfather willed me a .45. I don't know what I'm allowed to do or do without that. So I threw a couple quarter sticks at him. Maybe that's not the professional thing to do, but.
Listen. Stop it. Did y'all just hear him say, put the gun down? You hear the engine. He pulled a gun on the first officer. According to the statement of the first officer, he pulled a gun on him and he drove off because he couldn't get his gun out. I'm assuming that he was in a weird spot. The guy's leaning in his window or pointing right at him, and so he kind of drives off. He yells, put the gun down. Remember, the brother said nobody gave him any commands. The attorney general and all of them are saying nobody ever gave this man commands. So think about this. He's claiming that all these people are at his house, which will be debunked. We debunked it, but we'll show you. We'll prove it. He claiming all these people at his house breaking in his shed. None of that ever happens. He's got a gun on him. He has called the police. They pull up in marked vehicles in uniform. They're cops. I'm sure you can hear them coming with lights and sirens. And if they somehow didn't drive with lights and sirens, you can definitely hear the engine of that Crown Vic. He pulls up and he pulls a gun on the first officer. Put the gun down. Put the gun down. He drives off. Keep going.
Are you talking with my officers? Sir.
You hear him yell again, put the gun down.
Yo. Yeah. I copy.
Okay. We're gonna get to the body worn camera here in a second. All right, here's the body worn camera. The first officer didn't activate his body worn camera, unfortunately, because you can't see anything. But you could hear him say, "Put the gun down and drive off." I don't think he just drove up and just made something up so they can conspire to shoot this guy. And here's the thing that I need to say to you guys. I'm not trying to bash this man that got shot. I pray for his family. But they don't tell you that something is not right with him. Something is not right with him. The guy's definitely going through a mental struggle. He's hallucinating or something because none of this that he reported happened. And when the cops show up, he's pulling guns on people. Roll the clip.
Where at? Where?
Okay, pause it. It's impossible to do this. I wish I had control of it because I could do it like I used to do it where I scroll it and stop it and scroll it and pause it. It's impossible for me to do it right now. I'm going to try to play that over again. Now, when the frame comes in, it's very difficult to see whether he had the gun or not. If you watch this 100 times, it's going to be difficult for you to process and see if he had the gun out. But the officer is saying, whom he can see, what you can't see because he's physically there, and the body camera is here. And so the things that he see is going to be hard for a person looking at a body-worn camera somewhere to see. But when you freeze the frame, and I think we got a picture of the frozen frame, do we? When you freeze the frame, you'll see it looks like he does have the gun out right at his hip. Now, whether the guy has the gun pointed at the cop, when I say out, I mean pointed at the cop, whether he has it pointed at the cop or not, really doesn't matter because you could use deadly force against somebody if they're a threat of serious bodily injury or death to you or somebody else. And clearly, once you point a gun at an officer, and then they get out and give you commands, you're in a patrol car, the guy still got a gun on him, he's doing all this stuff, a reasonable officer or person would believe that this guy is a deadly threat. You can still use force against him. Now, the officer says that he had it at his hip, pointed at him, and you have to be beyond a reasonable doubt have to disprove that that officer is being honest about it. You have to disprove it. It's impossible to say that the officer didn't see a gun or wasn't pointed at him. You cannot disprove that. Let's roll the clip back. I'm going to show you something I thought was very interesting. Let's start the clip over. You can turn the sound off. Roll the clip. Okay, pause it right here. There's something interesting that happens, and this is what makes me feel like the officer saw the gun at this point. I want you to pay close attention. Because the officer gets out the car, and while he's talking to the other officer, he kind of dips and looks like he dodges or something before he lights up the guy and the shooting commences, right? And I think that that's when he saw the gun on the guy. And, of course, the camera isn't following his eyes. I think he's facing this way, talking to the officer. He looks and he sees him. And he dodges a little bit, then he puts the gun out, and then there goes the shooting. Okay, roll the clip. Watch for a minute. As soon as he kind of get out the doorway, he's going to dip or move or duck or something. And that, to me, tells me that he saw something right when he got out of the car. Roll the clip. Right there. See that? Go. See that? And the guy has the gun out here, and if you freeze it, the officer is saying that he's got it at his hip like this, pointing the gun at him. And there's no way in the world that a jury can argue beyond a reasonable doubt that is, that he does not have the gun pointed. Roll back. I want y'all to pay attention to that duck real quick, and then we're going to move on. Roll it. Just watch him. Right when he gets to the front of the car, he like dodges or ducks, and then he points the gun at him. Watch. Right here. See that? Right there. Now, this officer is saying that he got the gun pointed like this and then roll the clip. He lights him up with the light, and then the shooting commences. Clearly, he had the gun in his hand, one hand, and had the phone in the other hand. Now, pause it. One thing that they don't tell you, and I'm gonna put the documents up, is that this officer, Oldrati, he rendered aid. And in the documents that they put out to the people, they did not mention that he rendered aid one time, and they did not mention that the suspect pulled out the gun on the first officer that showed up on the scene. We have the clip. We have a couple clips or photos, snapshots of documents. But I want to go to the article, though. Before we get to this, I want to go to the article. I want to go to the article of the Attorney General's statement. And then we're gonna put that together. Because this is where I think it goes south, and I think it was so disingenuous how they indicted the gentleman. So just 1 second, and we're going to get to it. Okay, we're almost there. Y'all hold the phone. Okay, make sure you click on the right one, please. No, it's the one, the grand jury one. Over one. The one right there. Perfect. All right, so let's roll with this one, okay? You guys probably can't read it, but I can read it. You can't read it, but I can read it. And I'm gonna find a way to get y'all these documents. If you want them, I could probably figure out a way to put them in a file and send them to you or something like that. But the grand jury, the Attorney General's document here is so disingenuous, it literally makes me want to throw up. It says right here in this paragraph here, I don't know if you guys can see my marker on here, but starting with this paragraph says, Mr. Sharp was shot multiple times outside of his home by one of the very officers he had called upon to help him. His life was cut short seconds after Oldrati arrived at the scene. Mr. Sharp was still on the phone with the police dispatch. When 911, it says when residents call 911 services, they are concerned, they need assistance, they seek protection, and they trust officers respond to their call. Officers responding to their call respond accordingly and help them. Tragically, that did not happen here. Not one point did they say that he pulled a gun on the first officer that showed up on the scene. This wasn't just, unfortunately, it wasn't just that the cop, he called 911, I need help, man, somebody's burglarized my house, and they showed up and killed the man. Not one time is it presented to the media, not one time was it presented to the grand jury that this guy, the investigation into whether he was calling 911 for a legitimate reason didn't exist. They never mentioned that, and they never mentioned the first officer's articulation that the gun was pointed at him directly when he first arrived to the scene. Okay? And it says less than 5 seconds elapsed between when the officer stepped out of the patrol vehicle and when he began firing at Mr. Sharp. Officer Oldrati gave no verbal commands or warnings before shooting Mr. Sharp. The grand jury determined that his conduct was not justified and warranted a return of an indictment for manslaughter. This man, they said no verbal commands were given. That is a flat lie. You heard before Oldrati got to the scene that there was verbal commands given, that you could hear that they yelled over the 911 call. The dispatcher could hear him saying, drop the gun, drop the gun. That was the first command that was given to him. Therefore, the dispatcher says, are you engaging with our officers? That's how loud the commands were. And then you could hear the commands faintly, almost simultaneously, the second time when they said drop the gun and the shooting commenced. So that's a lie right off the bat. But the question is, why is he lying about this? Why did they not tell the grand jury that he pointed a gun at the other officer? Why is there no toxicology results or anything presented to the grand jury? Why? That's because they want to frame it so that they can indict this officer for manslaughter. Okay, we're going to go to a couple clips. I need to see them. I don't think we labeled them. I want to make sure that we pull up the right ones at the right time. Let's go to the clip. Present it to me on this side, and then we'll pull it in. All right. Let's go to the one. Yeah, pop up at least something. I don't see anything. Present the clip in the pre-channel. I'm talking about the documents. Y'all bear with me 1 second. Okay, so let's do it like this. Put it on the screen, and then we're going to scroll through the few documents because they're not labeled. So pull that one in. Let me see what I can see it when it's on the screen, and I'm looking at it. Okay, all right. All right, this is self-defense. Let's go to the other one. I want to go to the one. Okay, here's one a debunk of one of the lies, or one of the deceptive purposes. Right? It wasn't just 5 seconds, like he just pulled up on the scene and he just started shooting and killing people. It was about 19 seconds between when the body-worn camera started and when the cop got on the scene, and that's a significant difference between 5 seconds that they perpetuate. 19 seconds is a long time. First of all, 5 seconds is a long time. But 19 seconds is the totality of what the officers experienced. And I think it's more than that. It's just 19 seconds when the body-worn camera was activated. What does that do? He can look at the other officer. He can see that the other officer is pulled up. He can see him get out the car. He can see that there's somebody in the, he's trying to look for people. He's actively engaged in this environment. He gets out of the car. The man says he has a gun, where he emerges from the darkness with the gun like this, and then the shooting commences. Go to the next one. Okay, here's another fact that I think people should be aware of. It says, did the officer receive information from the dispatcher that Mr. Sharp had a handgun? They did not. So this all speaks to the reasonableness of the officer. They had no idea the caller had a gun. They had no idea the person they was engaging with was the caller, at least from the understanding that I have. Especially already, he just pulling up on the scene. He like, the guy has a gun. Where is he at? They're responding to a call where people are armed, burglarizing this gentleman's house. So the officer's mindset arriving on the scene is that they're expecting to encounter potentially armed suspects. And then when he say he has a gun, the officer's mind is thinking, okay, this is potentially one of the suspects. And then he yelled, drop the weapon, and the guy still had the gun pointed. Even if it was at his waist, he still is a deadly threat to the officer. And the officer who shot already, in my opinion, is believing that he's saving the life of even his fellow officer who's yelling, he has a gun, he has a gun, he has a gun. All right, let's go to the other one, because I think the other one is the one I was looking for. Okay, here goes the part where I was telling you guys it was related to the fact that the burglary never happened and none of this stuff never happened. So why didn't the grand jury know that there was nothing that happened that he said happened on the phone? And here's the Q&A. It says, so was there any investigation conducted regarding the burglary that Mr. Sharp reported? Yes, there was. Okay. And then it says yes, and then it goes down to say, no one reported seeing any burglary at the time. Mr. Sharp's shed was padlocked shut. And, with a ratchet trap across it. And then it says, and there was no sign of forced entry into the shed. His vehicle parked in the driveway was also locked, and there was no evidence that it was broken into. All right. Just take me back to the full screen. And there was no evidence that it was broken into. Here's my theology real quick. This is what I think happened. And we can go to case law. We can do all of that stuff. The officer should very well be not guilty of this. I'm going to bring up some more clips of the law, too, so we can put that in perspective. But this is what I think happened. I think the gentleman Sharp was somehow hallucinating or having a mental break episode where he was reporting that he was seeing stuff that wasn't there. It's two things I think happened. That, where he was out of his mind, And he was claiming that he was seeing people that wasn't there. He was claiming people was in his shed, and his shed is padlocked shut with a bar across it. He's saying he's seeing people in his car that he went out and confronted, and there was no forced entry, no other calls anywhere in the neighborhood of any sort related to this. There's no vehicle that pulled up with these people in it. They didn't walk up. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. He didn't clearly tell dispatch that he had a gun. It didn't happen. So either he was having a complete mental breakdown, or he wanted to conduct what we call a suicide by cop. Now, I don't know if that's what the defense is going to push, but I think that the grand jury should understand what that is, and the juries now should understand what that is, because that could be a potential explanation of why this guy reported a fake call, and then when the cops got there, he pulled a gun on the first cop. Some of you guys that don't know suicide by cop is somebody who wants to take their own lives, but they don't have enough courage. They don't have enough, ability to do so themselves. So they get a police officer in a position where the police officer have to use force against them, which results in them losing their life. And when this man did all of that calling and talking and saying he's seeing them driving with guns and they in the shed and they in his car and they're armed and all of these things, he's either having a complete mental breakdown where he's completely delusional, or he's intentionally getting the officers to respond to the scene so they can shoot him and end his life. There is no such reason whatsoever that a man should pull a gun on a police officer when he first gets to the scene and then not drop his gun at any point when both officers are now at the scene and he hear the other guy. He has a gun. Drop the weapon. Where? He can hear them talking and he just keep his gun on him. Something ain't right. And let me add this for you. It wasn't even a real gun. Now, of course, you saw the evidence. It looked real because you can't tell the difference between a real and a replica gun if you got a pretty realistic replica. It wasn't even a real gun. So now put this all together. He's making a report. He has a fake gun in his hand. He's going outside to confront people that ain't there. The police show up in marked vehicles. He pulls the fake gun on one of them, and then he still has the gun out and pointed it at the second officer, according to officer's testimony. So what was he really doing? Grand jury never heard any of this stuff. Now let's go to the law of recklessness. Just look at it real quick, Trent, before you put it on there. It's the law that talks about reckless manslaughter. It's in the clips. I mean the little paper notes. Yeah, I got you. Reckless manslaughter. So pull that up for me. Y'all, just 1 second. We're going to get it. All right, let's put it up. Some of y'all can't see it, but I can see it. Okay? And it says, New Jersey law states that waiting until a weapon is used on you is not required for self-defense. An individual can have an honest and reasonable belief that he was in danger that requires the use of deadly force if a party brandishes a weapon and otherwise threaten him. In other words, a person does not have to wait for someone to use a weapon before he can use deadly force and be justified in doing so. And we all know that a replica gun is all a deadly weapon. Let's talk about the reckless manslaughter charge, okay? They charged them with reckless manslaughter. The other charges that are on the books regarding manslaughter is somebody who disregard human life and other things that don't apply here. This is the only one that they are associating with this situation, and that is reckless manslaughter. Reckless, in definition of the code here, it says a person who causes another's death does so recklessly when he is aware of and consciously disregards a substantial and unjustifiable risk that death will result from his conduct. I think this officer knew exactly what he was doing because the guy was a threat. The risk must be of such a nature and degree that considering the nature and purpose of the officer's conduct and the circumstances known to the officer, his disregard of the risk is a gross deviation from the standard of conduct that a reasonable officer would follow in the same situation. I want y'all to understand that. The officer's conduct and the circumstances known to the officer What did the officer know? Put me on the big screen. What did the officer know? All he knew is that they were responding to a potential burglary in progress where suspects were armed. When he gets to the scene, he has no idea Mr. Sharp has a gun. I don't think he has any idea that that's Mr. Sharp in the shadows before he emerged with the gun in his hand. The dispatch never said nothing about the homeowner having a gun. All that was not validated. The dispatcher never alluded to any part that Mr. Sharp was saying things that were incoherent. Because some of the stuff he was saying was incoherent. Dispatcher never conveyed that. I'm not blaming the dispatcher. I'm just saying that at the time that the officer arrived on the scene, what information did he have? And how did he act based on that information? I guarantee you in the trial, the other officer's going to testify to the fact that the gun was pulled on him. That's why he drove off. You can hear the 911 call. And then Officer Already is going to testify that when I got out of the car, I could see him with the gun pointed at me like this. I turned my body, I lit him up, and then I used force against him because I was concerned that he would shoot me or my partner. In the statute, that is a self-defense claim. All you have to have is the legitimate concern of serious bodily injury and or death, and you can utilize deadly force against somebody. And to say that he was acting without due regard to human life, which was the other part of the statute, which they cannot consider in this trial, he rendered aid to this man. He took out his stuff. He rendered aid. He was over the top of him. I don't think any other officer touched him. I don't think. When I saw the body worn camera at the very end, which I didn't show you guys, he rendered aid to this individual. Now, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that I just want to briefly say this. I'm going to follow up with this again closer to the trial, because they've obviously pushed the trial out. But I want you guys to just see that the attorney general and these people were against this officer unnecessarily. They did not disclose proper information to the grand jury. Therefore, the grand jury had no other choice but to make a decision based on inaccurate information or incomplete information. And that was a shame. And therefore, this officer had been cleared in an initial investigation. And then a year or two later, they come back. And the new attorney general decides he's going to indict this officer. Years later, after he was cleared, after all this information I showed you guys were out in public record, there's documents, there's defense, there's everything that alluded to the fact that this officer could not be charged according to New Jersey law for reckless manslaughter. But yet they indicted him anyway. And the prosecution left out all this crucial information, didn't say anything about Mr. Sharp's mental health, didn't say anything about him having a gun, pointing the gun at the first officer. None of this. They didn't give commands. They gave commands on the 911 call. You can hear it. You don't have, and let me say this real quick and then I'm going to move on. You don't have to give people commands if they are a deadly threat to you. You don't have to. And this is me as a citizen. I don't know how it is in other states, but as a citizen, if somebody pull a gun out on me, I don't have to say, drop the gun. When I was a cop in Tucson, Arizona, if a man goes to grab his gun, I don't have to say nothing to him because I got to start pulling the trigger on him. I don't have to tell him to drop the gun. I don't have to, because somebody can be a threat before you can even say anything. You could be looking this way and somebody pull a gun on you and all you can do is pull a gun and shoot. Now, of course, we try to tell you to drop the gun, which the officer did before the shooting happened. He said, drop the gun, then the shooting started happening almost simultaneously. He tried to tell him. But a reasonable person wouldn't have a gun out when cops show up on the scene when you're supposed to be calling them for help. A reasonable person wouldn't point a gun at the first officer that showed up on the scene. So clearly he's not being reasonable. And they're not taking that into account. But I want to do this for the officer here because I know that when an officer is in a situation like this, it financially is a struggle for him. I think he has a give, send, go account. For anybody that watched this, and I'm not telling you what to do. You can do whatever you want to do. Anybody that's watching this, and we're going to give too. My family's going to give to help this officer too. Anybody that's watching this, just give something. If you feel like this officer's been done dirty because he has a family, has a little baby, has a wife, this kid, honorable. I don't think there's ever been any discipline. He seems like a great young man serving his community. And because these people are out to get police officers, this officer acted, in my opinion, according to the law and was cleared. And all of a sudden they follow up and try to put this man in prison for 10 years. So anyway, we'll put the link in the description section, but I think he's trying to raise about $20,000. He's at $6 right now. I know it's a bunch of people watching this. You can give $2. Only if you believe that this officer was done dirty and you care about his family, and some of y'all got people in your family that are cops. Young man. This is a young man. The whole life finna be over if they try to indict this man. But while they're fighting, while they're doing their due diligence to try to defend his life, when everybody in his family probably worried about it, they go ever see the man, or he gonna go 10 years in prison for something that he didn't even do, that they were disingenuous about to start with. And his wife and his kid, everybody wondering, is he gonna go away for 10 years because somebody out to get him? So we're gonna give a $1,000. So y'all gonna see my gift on there. We're gonna give $1,000 for Officer Tatum. But we'll put the link in the description section. So anybody that want to give something, even if it's $2. I know everybody ain't got a lot of money. I want to give $1,000. But y'all can give whatever you want to give. If it's $2, $5, $1,000, $20, $30, $40, I would like to see this young man be able to raise $20,000 on this platform, because these thugs and these criminals that deserve use of force against them raise millions. And this man is fighting to keep the lights on. His livelihood, everything that he didn't work hard for to be a cop. And I know what it takes to be a cop. Now it's all thrown in the wind because they have to get this man. So I want y'all to give something, even if it's just a little bit. All right. God bless you. I'm going to follow up with some more on that, because there's a lot I didn't say, but I could talk a whole 3 hours about this. All right, let's get to some other news. That was so important to me, I had to say it at the beginning of the show. Let's get to some other news. Andrew Schultz. Last video we did on Andrew Schultz, it hit 1 million views, didn't it? Yeah. Andrew Schultz dropped truth bomb on Charlemagne on Elon Musk situation. Let's put Andrew Schultz on the screen.
You don't answer to him. Well, you're an elected official. Well, what?
All right, let's start it over. Andrew Schultz, and I say this every time. Like, every time I watch Andrew Schultz in a clip, I almost feel like he's getting better at clearly debunking the foolery that Charlemagne is saying. And I promise y'all this. Andrew Schultz won't say it publicly, because I think him and Charlemagne are good friends. I bet you when they after dinner, Charlemagne really think he a conservative. I bet Charlemagne really, really is like, yeah, bro, I agree with that, man. This is crazy. And then when he get on the podcast, he try to defend a little bit of the Democrat side to be a devil's advocate. But I bet you Charlemagne, when he talking to people, he like, yeah, Trump doing the right thing, bro. These people, these Democrats are crazy. Like, they're going to lose the election. Then when he get up there, he has to present, because the black folks want to see him represent them, he got to kind of present a devil's advocate version. That's just my opinion. Roll the clip.
You don't answer to him. Well, you're an elected official.
Well, what doesn't matter if you're an elected official or not?
Come on. Yes, it does.
Kash Patel's not an elected official.
But he's the head of the FBI.
Yeah, but he's not elected.
But he got sworn in by the Senate. Elon did not.
So you're saying that, and again, I could be wrong about this, but you're saying that if the president hires anybody to look into anything, they're not allowed to do it unless the Senate swears them in?
Yes, if you're going to be over how the federal government spends people's money.
But the amount of people that spend our money that are part of the federal government that we have not sworn in is what's caused all this bloat and bureaucratic that we're dealing with now.
I don't know anything about that. I'm not even going to sit here and act like that. I do.
I mean, there's all these programs.
I do know that's the problem with Elon Musk.
There's all these programs that they're slashing right now, right? Again, I don't even know what they're slashing, but there are all these programs that they have said have gotten a lot of bloat. In other words, that there's a lot more people have hired. They've hired for these certain like interest projects, and these interest projects have been potentially completed, and those people haven't moved on to work on anything else. They're just still there getting paid by our money. We didn't hire them. The Senate didn't hire them. Somebody at that company hired them. So I guess what I'm trying to understand is like,
I don't know how that works. I really don't.
I think it works just like
when
any
you're
committee.
FDA, you're in charge of nuclear weapons. I don't know how that works.
The Senate can't come in and approve every single person that's hired on every single committee. Maybe they could. Maybe it should be done where like the Senate approves like the person that's the head of the committee or something. Maybe that's the pushback. But I guess what I'm trying to say is like if you have nothing to hide and there is no issue, let's look at the books.
No, sure, but it has to be.
Why is that a big,
you can't have unchecked, unauthorized power from somebody who's not an elected official. You're rich.
It's finna get better. Just 1 second. Let me clarify this a little bit. Nobody, every FBI agent is not sworn in by the Senate. The director of the FBI is. The director of the FBI controls the FBI. So we get the people at the top of the food chain. That's like when you have a senator whom you vote for and they get elected and they get sworn in, the senator's aides and assistants and people interning, none of them have to get sworn in. The discretion of the senator is how they begin to fill positions within their Senate office. Same thing with the president. The president has given authority to then pick certain people that are not sworn in. Like the deputy FBI director is not sworn in. The director of the FBI is, but the deputy is appointed by Donald Trump and can be removed by Donald Trump. So you can't vote him in and you don't have to impeach him. So when he says, I'm going to create an agency to do investigations with the constitutional authority that's afforded to the president of the United States of America, the commander in chief, he can then select somebody in good faith that will carry out a certain job. And if you don't have a security clearance, you can't see top secret or classified information. You can only see X, Y, Z. And for them saying it's already been debunked, they saying they got access to your social security numbers. And they have access to your social security numbers before Elon Musk was alive. So what are y'all talking about? It's all fluff. But this is where I think Andrew Schultz, if I'm not mistaken, this is where I think he finishes the conversation very succinctly. Roll the clip.
Have your go back. Go.
What he doing ain't worth it. Listen, when people
setting him up for what?
When people say things to me and they be like, "Yo, Donald Trump really cares about this country," that's the only reason doing it. I can believe that coming from him. Elon ain't got no reason to be doing what he's doing. None.
Why?
Whatsoever.
He's got the most to gain from America being successful.
Ron Elon.
He don't want to go back to
Ron Elon.
His America thriving helps him thrive.
Yeah.
It helps him get to Mars or whatever that he wants to do. If America is in a tough financial situation, you know the first thing to get clipped? The rocket ship to Mars.
But why become the most hated man in America?
He don't care.
He don't care. He's the richest man.
Some of these guys don't care. You have to understand. Charlamagne, how long have you been dealing with hate? You get numb to that shit.
Yeah,
you don't give a He's like, listen, they can hate me, but all these people that hate me own Tesla stock. So how much you hate me?
It's different. It's different when somebody.
You know what I mean? Like, how much you hate me if all of y'all drive a Tesla? How much you hate me if you all invested in SpaceX?
I
how much
agree
y'all hate me if you're all on X? So it's like, you hate me because your friends retweet you when you say shit about me. But at the end of the day, when you got to put some money into the stock market so your kids go to college, you're going to put it in my company. So shut up.
I'm going to be honest with you. I can't just.
Boom. Tell me he's deceiving or not telling the truth. Andrew Schultz is right on the money. Like it's all a pony show. I mean, I think y'all understand it. It's all a pony show. It's all bull crap. These people are stupid. They don't. I see cars driving down the street, Tesla owners against Elon or something stupid. That's like somebody super chatting me every day because they hate me. That's like somebody buying all my merch because they mad at me. I hate Tatum. That's why I'm going to buy 3 shirts today. And I ain't going to even use the discount. Can't stand him. It's Tatum store people against Brandon Tatum. Well, am I mad at you? I kind of not mad at you. You put money in my pocket. Why would I be mad at you? Well, people running it up. They got Tesla car. They got Starlink at their house. They got the charging port at their house that they didn't buy from Tesla that cost like a couple $1,000s. Y'all got the whole kick and caboodle. And also, not only did you purchase the Tesla, you're driving a Tesla, you are an open marketing tool. You'll drive that thing around and you're advertising for Tesla. So somebody see you in the HOV lane, like, dang, they get to drive Tesla in the HOV lane. Maybe I should get me a Tesla. So I don't have to sit in line, not be able to get in the HOV lane because I don't have two people in the car. Dang, that car kind of snazzy. Dang, look at that car take off at the light. That got some juice on it. Look at that Cybertruck. That Cybertruck kind of hard when you see it in real life. I think I want to get me one. So not only are you spending money, you're making him wealthier, and you're advertising for him, yet you say you're mad at him. Your friends that hate Elon Musk are idiots. I just want to say that. And the reason I say that they're idiots, not because you can't hate the guy or dislike the guy, they don't have a legitimate, substantial reason why they don't like Elon Musk. They have no idea. Go ask them. Cause he got access to the Social Security numbers. He owned PayPal. Do y'all remember? You know what financial information that they have in PayPal? If he wanted to screw you over, they'd have screwed you in the PayPal days. But somehow he gonna get to the United States government and get your Social Security number with your 500 credit score and your $30,000 of student loan debt, $100,000 for gender dysphoria delusion studies. And he gonna take your money and use your money to do what? Y'all don't even know. Y'all don't know how much a billionaire is. He not just a billion. He not just 10 billion. He not 100 billion. He not 200 billion. They say he worth 400 billion right now. You can't spend that money if you tried. And he wants your Social Security numbers so he can plug them into Tesla. Shut the front door. They just saying stuff. They don't know why they mad at that man. They just been told, hate him, hate him, hate him, hate him, hate him. Because back when they were told to love him, love him, love him, he's changing the world. Mr. EV himself, he got the new Tesla car. He doing this. Elon Musk. And they loved him. They kissing his butt. He the savior of the crunchy granolas. And now they told to hate him. Now he must go to hell. Just they did the same thing with Donald J. Trump. They loved Trump. He was all over the media. He did all these things. And then now he got to go to hell because some leftist lunatic don't like his politics. Let's see. I want to talk a little bit about the, just real quick, this is not even a full thing. Oh, let's go to Elon Musk clip on Joe Rogan, because this is what I was talking about. Now, this is a little bit of Elon Musk and some of the things that he did at Doge. In this same interview, and I don't know if this is the clip of the interview, but in this, 7 minutes, so it should be long enough. I think in this interview, he talks about the fact that they used to love him. And he talks about the fact that he's afraid for his life, too. It may be all in this clip. So this is Elon Musk on Joe Rogan, kind of revealing some of the things that he's found. There's another clip out there. We don't have it. Maybe we'll get to it another time. There was this guy, my wife sent it to me. This guy was claiming that Elon Musk lied about all the stuff. The numbers aren't really what they say it is. I'm interested in seeing what Elon Musk's response to that is. Because I think that if that guy in that video is right, Elon Musk has some explaining to do. Now, if he's wrong, I want to see Elon Musk debunk him. Let's roll this clip from Elon first. Roll it.
In the case of Twitter, it wasn't a profitable company. It was like basically a break-even company, but at least it was break-even, and it had to pass an audit. The federal government is not break-even. It's literally losing $2 trillion a year, and it does not pass its audits. It fails its own audits. So, there's a case where, I think Senator Collins was telling me about how she gave the Navy $12 billion for more submarines, got no extra submarines, and then held a hearing to say where'd the $12 billion go, and they were like, we don't know. That was it. Basically stuff is so crazy. It's like only the federal government could get away with this level of waste. It's mostly waste. It's mostly not fraud. It's mostly waste. It's mostly just ridiculous things happening.
Because they've been able to do it this way for so long. They've become accustomed to it.
I sent the clip to you.
Yeah, it's like Milton Friedman said, money is most poorly spent when you're spending someone else's money on people you don't know. How much are you going to care?
Right.
and that's the federal government. So they're spending someone else's money on people they don't know. You could put a payment through with no payment categorization code and no description on the payment, like basically untraceable blank checks. This is the kind of thing that if it was done as a public company, the company would be immediately delisted and the executive team would be thrown in prison. But this is just normal at the government. So we said, okay, our recommendation to the Treasury and the Federal Reserve was like, we need to make the payment categorization codes mandatory, not optional, and there needs to be an explanation. We're not judging the quality of the explanation, but there should be some explanation for what this payment is for above nothing. That's a radical change to the system that is being implemented now.
Hold on.
My guess.
I want y'all to think about that. Can you imagine that they can have payments and their books don't have to show where the payment went and why it went there? Like, y'all have no idea how much money and time I spend on my little company. You know, it's obviously over 7-figure generation as a company, so it's not like a little bitty mom and pop, but we not no 8-figure company. We're not a 9-figure company. The country is $1 trillion company. And we have to have bookkeepers on staff. I mean, when I say on staff, we partner with a company that manages our books. Every thing I buy has to be categorized: personal, business, everything. Then we have to package all of that and give it to a tax attorney to go and file taxes. And all that stuff, dollars to file our taxes, we pay probably over $10,000 or some a year to have the bookkeepers manage and do all this other stuff. And we have staff in-house that manages our books. And if we didn't do that, they'd have my hanging somewhere. But yet, the government playing with your money. Roll the clip.
That probably saves $100 billion a year.
Jesus Christ.
That's
where was that money going?
Rough order of magnitude.
Where was that money going?
Well, so this is where you get into the sort of gray boundary between waste and fraud. If money is sent to a person or organization from the government, and you didn't really deserve it, but the government still sent it to you, is that waste or fraud?
Right.
So, I mean, there's a lot of payments where someone just approved the payment, but then that payment officer changed jobs or retired or died, and the payments just keep going. You know, it's like if you forget to pay your gym membership or something like that.
Right.
Now, imagine it's not the gym membership. You said your gym membership's $20 billion a year or something, you know. But they forgot to turn it off. I think we should not put the public safety at risk.
No.
Because of some demented philosophy.
Somebody made a post today about it infiltrating the NSA. Did you see any of that?
That was
crazy.
Some gnarly stuff.
Yeah, crazy. What it started off as just like this sort of fringe thing, and people would meet up. Then it completely infiltrated the organization.
Yeah,
and they were spending all their time.
It was like 400 people or something, and some sex chat room with like some extremely demented stuff.
Yeah. So more than 100 intelligence staffers will be fired over sexually explicit texts in NSA chat rooms, Gabbard says. So top intelligence official told Waters that the workers in question were brazen in using an NSA platform intended for professional use to conduct this kind of really, really horrific behavior. What is the behavior? What is it? Do they say in this article?
Yeah. I think they were also...
Okay, it says employees who participate in the NSA's obscene, pornographic, and sexually explicit chat rooms.
Your tax dollars at work.
Well, it was all like it was all like LGBTQ stuff. There was a lot of like transition stuff, and
yeah,
I know I definitely saved it, but point is, it infiltrated the organization.
It's not what they should be talking about
at all.
At all.
At all. Yeah,
it's supposed to be protecting the country.
Right.
Yeah.
And people were talking about how they're spending half their time in these meetings, and that they're just like constantly having to attend these things where they talk about these issues. Like, what are you doing? Like, if you have a problem with someone that's discriminatory, get rid of that person. That's it.
Yes.
It's problem's over. You've got someone who's homophobic in your business. They're openly homophobic. Yeah, that you can't work here. That's not cool. That's it. That's it. You don't have to have fucking meetings constantly promoting this. You're not going to change someone's opinion by berating them over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, a work environment should be a professional environment where they're getting the job done that they're being paid to do. It should be.
Of course,
it's obviously not supposed to be sort of getting paid for bizarre sexcapades. The real threat here is to the bureaucracy.
I just want to get it up. I don't want people to. I don't want to end up getting copywritten or something for having too much of one content. So I got to break it up every now and again. But does he sound like an irrational person? This is why I'm glad he went on Joe Rogan's show, because hundreds of millions of people see this or listen to this. Does he sound irrational? Does he sound like a person who's going and trying to steal your information and take over the government and the country and all this other stuff? Is he trying to do that? No, he just seemed like a rational person. Do you know how ticked off I am to think about the fact that the stuff like this is going on in the government and nobody has even tried to figure this out? Nobody has even tried to have an audit of the United States government. And then they get all crazy with you if you say there's a deep state and this. I am perplexed at the amount of corruption that probably goes on in our government, and it's now in your face. They're having 100 people getting fired in the NSA, 100 people because they're in a sex chat on duty. Nobody's watching over this stuff. And it takes this man to go in and dig, and then they finding stuff. It takes a Trump appointee, Tulsi Gabbard, to find stuff. What was these other people doing in office? What were they doing? You know, they say, well, they got, this, I'm going to tell y'all this. Most of y'all have gone to the DMV or MVD, whatever it's called in your state. The DMV, and you like, oh my God, dude, it takes forever to get through. The government can do nothing right. The government can't be efficient in nothing. And the truth is the government can be. But they don't have no oversight whatsoever on nothing that they do. And they hire randos to do the job that hate their life and don't even want to do. They're not properly trained, or they have some training manual that they spent thousands of dollars on that they just check. I saw it, didn't read it, didn't verify it, no nothing. This is what we have. And then these people that don't care about their job, that no oversight, they in there just tooting their thumbs. Hey, ma'am, I want to get my car registered. Oh, you got to get in line way back there, okay? Next. How do you spell your Johnson? How do you spell Johnson? Can you write it down for me? Okay. Doing it wrong, ain't looked at nothing, ain't studied nothing, don't know what's going on, took way too long, nobody's auditing the time and speed, nobody's advancing technology, nothing in the government. And this is the stuff that I think that Elon Musk is talking about, is that a payment is sent out and somebody dies or forgets and they just keep the payment going. Now, somebody's mom and pop should work like that. Or somebody who's not paying attention to their money. I've done it, but I'm not the government. I don't have $1 trillion budget where I can afford to put these things into place and have them operate properly. This is the biggest company in the world, is the United States government. And we have literally nobody checking the budget. And we just going deeper and deeper in debt, and they're like, oh, I guess we ain't got to worry about that. All us dead now. We dead. They got to worry about that. Let's just spend. Let's a lot of people. Let's spend more money to get people encouraged to vote for me. And they just run it up to one day our country get taken over. But they're going to be far dead, so they don't care. Roll the clip.
So, like, you probably saw, like, you know, let's say, like, Trump as a threat to our democracy, which is ironic since he was elected with the majority of the, popular vote. They started saying I was a threat to democracy. But if you just replace threat to democracy with threat to bureaucracy, it makes total sense.
Right.
So, the reality is that our elected officials have very little power relative to the bureaucracy until Doge. So Doge is a threat to the bureaucracy. It's the first threat to the bureaucracy. Normally the bureaucracy eats revolutions for breakfast. This is the first time that they're not, that the revolution might actually succeed, that we could restore power to the people instead of power to the bureaucracy.
Now, the size of it was when you guys first started investigating it, when you first get in, how much of it was shocking? Like this, just the size of it all?
Well, the size of it all, the small decisions result in multi-billion-dollar outcomes. So, we'd see, it was a case where we saw one person was getting $1.9 billion sent to their NGO, which basically got formed about a year ago and had no prior, no prior activity. So they just stand up an NGO. The whole NGO thing is a nightmare. And it's a misnomer, because if you have a government-funded, non-governmental organization, you're simply a government-funded organization. It's an oxymoron.
Right. It's a loophole.
Yes. It basically, the government-funded NGOs are a way to do things that would be illegal if they were the government, but are somehow made legal if it's sent to a so-called nonprofit. But these nonprofits are then used to, people cash out these nonprofits. They become very wealthy through nonprofits. They pay themselves enormous sums through these nonprofits.
It's so insane that that's been going on for so long.
It's a gigantic scam, like one of the biggest, maybe the biggest scam ever.
And let me just say this real quick, and I think that's the end of the clip, that it's not just Democrats. I want you guys to understand it. It's not just Democrats. It was a Republican, I forget his name. I think he took over for the Attorney General's position for a very short period of time, I think. And I remember conservatives never saw this. I'm sure they didn't. I just so happened to be watching C-SPAN or something, and this guy was the acting FBI director. So he was like in some transition. They were questioning him, the Democrats. He was the Trump administration. He was a Republican. They were questioning him, and they said, "Hey, what is this nonprofit?" And there was some nonprofit that was created. He said, "How many people are in this nonprofit?" And it was only him. And he said there was $1 million donation to this nonprofit. Who controls the finances of the nonprofit? It was him. Who received the millions of dollars from the nonprofit? It was him. So he created a nonprofit that some wealthy person donated $1 million to go directly in his pocket. That's exactly what he did. He was a Republican under Trump administration. So it's not just Democrats. I bet it's more Democrats than anything, but it's not just Democrats, man. That's why Republicans never wanted a Doge either. Come on, let's keep it 100. Republicans never did this either. Democrats have definitely never done this. Donald Trump does it, and who's more upset? The Democrats are more upset. Why? Because I think they're the ones that take more advantage of it. There's a couple Republicans going to get their head whooped over this, I guarantee you. But half of the Democrats are probably doing it. I can't believe, like, let me tell y'all this. People need to be put to death for some of this stuff that they're doing. If you are knowingly and intentionally creating a nonprofit to scam the American people out of their money, something extreme have to happen to you by law. I honestly think there's got to be some consequences. You can't just, sorry, bro, I accidentally sent myself $5 billion. I don't know. Oh, now my net worth is, no, I accidentally sent myself $20 million. Now my net worth is $400 million. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll give you the 20 back. Sorry. Oh, you're going to get 20 back, but you work for it. Now all your money, all your assets need to go back to the United States government. and you just spend the rest of your life in prison. Listen, let me tell y'all something. I would never defraud anybody. I don't understand, especially not as a grown man. I don't understand how people defraud companies. I always wonder, even in my company, I feel like I got a lot of great people here, but you can never turn your head, right? You can never act like it never happened to you. I would never work in a company like mine and be stealing money off the top here and there and doing this. I'd never do that to anybody's company because I understand a very good principle. First of all, God is watching me. Second, if I do my job right, I'll get a piece of that money one day. Or I'll move on to somewhere else where I'll get more money. But I'm gonna reap the benefit of that success in that company. If I do my thing and I work hard and I make myself valuable, I'm gonna get a little bit of money. I ain't gotta steal this little right here. Because if I get caught, I'm going to jail. I ain't never get a job again. I don't need to do that. I work hard. I bust my butt. I create value. I have a little bit of that. I ain't got to steal it. Some people, they just steal. They rob you. They steal from you. I had a guy that worked for me. I can't believe he did this, man. Y'all know I cover benefits at 100% for my people or whatever. I go up and beyond. And this guy was ordering lunches on the business card of his own, ordered his own lunches, $500 one month of lunches. I had a company, Uber, so all the employees that have to travel or anything, they just use the company's Uber account. And the Uber, obviously, we take care of the Uber as a company. This man, Uber, I'm going to tell y'all this real quick, and I'm going to move on to the next story. This man, I gave a bonus one year of thousands of dollars to each person. We had a little small team. I think we had like 5, 6 people. I think I gave like a few thousand to everybody. This guy, the next day, he tells me, he comes to my office, he cries to me. This is after he didn't shysted the company once already with stuff that he was doing on his card. And I gave him a chance. I said, you got to pay it back. I'll let you keep your job, but you got to pay it back. Don't ever do it again. I mean, this guy was a recovering person drinking alcohol. He had DUIs. I gave him a chance. He came from California. I gave him a chance. I said, man, look, God can forgive you. I can forgive you. He does the little stuff. He comes to my office. He's crying. He said, my mom's in the hospital. I really need some help. And in my mind, I'm like, I just gave you a $2,000 or $3,000. I don't think it was like $2,000 bonus. Why are you in my office asking me to help you with a flight to California that probably costs about $150? But I said, he crying and everything, and I'm like, you know what? I felt guilted into it. I say, look, I'll pay for half of the flight. I'll fly you back. You got to fly yourself there. You know, you could take the time off because he need to take some time off that he needs to be working. But I said, it's your mama, it's your family. Okay, I'll cover your flight back. He used the company's Uber to Uber himself to the airport, to then Uber from the California to his mama house back from the airport back. This is not a company expense. This is a personal endeavor. And I gave him a $2,000 bonus like the day before. And then he defrauded some other thing where he had a $60,000 bill that he did not pay a vendor. And I want y'all to know we have in a company, I don't want to disclose all my stuff, but sometimes when you have a company and you get a company with American Express card, if you get one of those high-profile cards, they don't put a limit on it. They do put a limit, but they don't put a limit, right? And so you could just charge it to the card. You got to pay it off at the end of the month, but you just charge to the card. $60,000 that he did not pay a vendor. And I'm not even aware of it. He's supposed to pay the person. I get an email from the guy saying, hey man, you just don't pay your bills no more? And I'm like, hey, it must be a mistake. You owe me $60,000. I said, he must have been $6,000. He must have been $6,000. It must be a big mistake. I'm on a plane reading this email. And I'm like, oh, it must be a mistake. It's not a big deal. I'm going to call this guy and see what's up. I called him. He goes, $60,000, man. You guys didn't pay me. I said, what you mean we didn't pay you? Yeah, your guy said we've been trying to message him. We've been trying to call him. I'm like, man, you could have called me. What you talking about? $60,000. What? How did this happen? And then the guy, my employee, was saying, no, this lady is going senile that worked for the company, and she's on her way out. So she forgot to charge us anything. She hadn't charged us for certain stuff over time for a long period of time. And now all of a sudden she's trying to reconsolidate everything because she finna leave and then make her look bad. I said, all right, I trusted him. And then I said, but let me do an audit. So I did an Elon Musk audit, a Doge. I did a T-Doge. And when he left his company computer, I said, let's go through the computer and let's look and verify what he's saying. This lady from that company emailed him, I don't know, 6 or 7 times. Can you pay this invoice? Can you pay this invoice? Can you pay this invoice? $60,000 of outstanding invoices I had no idea about. And I'm getting ready to purchase this building here, and I got a $60,000 bill I'm not expecting. Oh, it hurt the company a little bit because my books wasn't right. And it wasn't just that he did that. The reason why I let him go, it was because he lied. He told me that lady was senile and that she never, Brandon, I promise you, was sitting in my office right over here. She never sent me any invoices. She just going senile. So I had to let him go. I was sad to let him go, but I had to let him go. Anyway, back to the Doge. I would never defraud people. I don't know how somebody would even do me like that. And they doing it to the United States government, which I think is a mess. All right, let's go with, this is the craziest I ever seen. I should have played this first. The Boston mayor giving condolences to a armed lunatic who tried to take the life of as many people as he could, but he got popped by the police. I want to play this clip real quick of them. Let me just describe the incident real quick. I'm just going to read it on my notes. A knife-wielding suspect chased 2 individuals into a Chick-fil-A. An off-duty Boston police officer inside the restaurant identified himself and ordered the suspect to drop the weapon. When the suspect did not comply, the officer shot him. The suspect was later pronounced dead at a local hospital. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call a 2 + 2 is 4. You got a knife, you're chasing people, drop the knife. I'm an off-duty cop. You don't drop the knife, I'll put some hot ones on you. Now, put it up on the screen. Why in the F? I want to say it, but I want to go to heaven. He almost here. He coming back. I want to go to heaven. Why in the F would the mayor say this? You know what happened? You know the man was trying to kill people, and you gonna say this? Roll the clip.
My condolences and all of our thoughts are with the family of the individual whose life has been lost.
Our thoughts and prayers are with the family and friends of the individual who's been lost.
So our condolences go to the individual who was killed tonight.
Why? Condolences. Can you say my heart's a prayer go out to the cop that had to kill a person while he's off duty? He's just in Chick-fil-A trying to get Dolores chicken. And he had to kill somebody. Can we I thought some prayers go to that officer. That man is off duty trying to get that brand new spicy chicken. No pickles with pepper jack cheese. He want actually 2 burgers and he want to add a large fry. And get him one of them seasonal milkshakes. That's all he was trying to do. And some fool running a Chick-fil-A house trying to stab people to death. And he had to put a couple hot ones on him. You think he really want to live with the fact that he had to smoke somebody in a Chick-fil-A? But our thoughts and prayers go out to the knife-wielding lunatic who was trying to murder people. We pray for his life. And I pray. Woo! The only thing you should say, we pray he don't go to hell. He's probably going to go to hell. We just pray that he don't go to hell. Or maybe you pray he do go to hell. I don't know. But it's crazy to me. Miss Wonton, Boston Mayor Michelle Wu, expressed condolences, which you see in the video. Wu remarks sparked criticism on social media. Critics argue that her statement seems to overlook the safety of potential victims and the officer who intervened. And what world do we live in? Is there another clip? What world do we live in that we care more about the criminal than we do the victims. I swear, God is my witness. Let me just say this real quick and I'm going to play this clip. Think about this, y'all. It's like the world is completely backwards, and I thought I was the only one that saw this. Thank God for Doge, because we know the government corrupt. Now we see it. But, like, why is there no programs for victims? They got every program in the world to reintroduce criminals back into society and recidivism reduction and they were trying to get their life together when they murdered somebody. They need lenience. They need no. How about we stand up for the victim? Oh, the victim was a woman? Oh, you finna get twice the time in jail. Oh, it was a kid. Come on, put him in there with Big Tony. Let Big Tony have his way. What you did? You did this to multiple people? Let them tell them what they should do to him. You go from the chair all the way to firing squad, chair, injection, life in prison, Big Tony. Or you can hit that one that's like all of the above. He bit a little bit in the chair, pop, 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 pop. Then you put him in the thing, inject him, and then while he sleep, put him in there with Big Tony for the rest of his life. Give him all of the above. Why we feel sorry for criminals? We should have compassion for people, but you shouldn't have more compassion for a criminal than you do the person they criminalized or they victimized. I never understand this. A guy can come in here right now, try to rob us. He gonna get smoked like a brisket from my favorite barbecue place right down the street. Smoked, moist brisket. He gonna get smoked, and they gonna be putting him. If he black, they gonna put him on the news. Oh, he was trying. My son didn't mean nothing. He went to the wrong place. He was, and they won't come after me. He didn't have to shoot him. He could have shot him in the big toe. He could have closed his eye and spin the gun around and shot him like this in his big toe and little toe at the same time. Why didn't he do that? He didn't have to kill him. These people silly as a mud. I want you to shoot him in the big toe. Man, John Wick can't shoot nobody in the big toe. Anyway, let's go to the next one.
An off-duty Boston police officer is taken to the hospital after shooting and killing a knife-wielding man inside of a Chick-fil-A on Boylston Street. So police say that suspect had chased two people into the restaurant. WBZ's Samantha Cheney has more from Copley Square.
Now, the Boston police commissioner told us that it was an off-duty Boston officer who shot a man inside of this Chick-fil-A after we're told that he allegedly chased two people inside of the store with a knife. Now, we're told that both the cop and the victim were taken to the hospital. The officer is okay, but the man he shot has died from his injuries.
Now they moved on to Chick-fil-A. Oh, now we got a person shot.
City officials extending their condolences.
In tragic circumstances like this, always, our thoughts and prayers are with the family and friends of the individual who's been lost.
Also, thinking of all the people who were impacted.
After police say an off-duty Boston police officer shot and killed a man inside of Chick-fil-A on Boylston Street. This after they say he chased two people inside with a knife.
The individual was attempting to stab the two individuals in the store, and the off-duty officer identified himself as a police officer, instructed them to drop the weapon, at which point the individual did not comply. The officer discharged his weapon to stop the threat, and the individual was struck.
According to police, it all happened around 5:30 Saturday evening, leaving some people shaken.
When you hear something like that, you see the streets all blocked off. What do you think?
It's definitely a dangerous situation to be in. I mean, as like college students living in the city, you want to be aware of these things, and in a city where you don't have a car, walking from place to place, it could make it very dangerous. So it's concerning.
I was surprised to find out, especially like in this area, because walking down it during the day, I wouldn't have assumed from being out of town that it quite like certain events like this would happen.
At this time, police say the motive behind the incident is still unclear.
And we have reason to believe strong reason to believe that there are other individuals who were here, who know something, who witnessed something, who may have been involved.
All right, enough of these people. This is why diversity ain't always good. You see you see a half, I don't know, he half breed. You see a black dude and a Chinese lady. The stupidest people in America. Why y'all gotta be stupid? Why can't divert? Why? See, white people, some white people that have stuff to say about minorities and stuff, they be right though. Why can't y'all get y'all stuff together? Why are the dumbest people the most diverse group of people? Let me just say it like this. Look at the Democrat Party. You look at a picture of the Democrat Party, they got this black, white, Asian, trans, all kind of people. What do they call them? Anti-Semites. They got all kind of people in their group. I had to throw that one in there. Dang, I couldn't think of it fast enough. I had to throw that one in there. They got anti-Semites, everybody in their group, man. They are the most diverse group of people in a political party. And the Republicans are mostly white people. But the Republican Party are the smartest and the Democrats are the evilest. Which are most evil, whatever you want to say it. Why does it look like that? Why can't the people of diversity be the smart ones? Why they got to be the evil ones? Why they got to be the most racist ones? Why they got to be like this? And then when some white people look and say, man, these people cutting up, man, we do good without these people. In my mind, I say, hey, I agree sometimes, in part, right? I mean, not in totality, but in part. Because I'm just going to say this. The safest places that I've ever lived, ain't number white people live there. There is zero diversity where I live at right now. I don't think there is. Maybe some Indian people or something. There ain't no black people live out here. If it is, it's 5 of us that live in this zip code, 5. And 3 of them live in my house. No, I'm just playing. But there's about 5 or 6 black people live in this area. And it's safe. You don't have to worry about much. It's all, there's some knuckleheads that live out here probably want to get jiggy. But for the most part, it's a safe place. Go where it's not safe. Black, Hispanic. It's like, why is it that way? Maybe it's because of gentrification or something. I don't know. Why is it that way? Why is it the safest cities where all your favorite athletes and celebrities live is around nothing but white people? Why is it? I'm just like, why? And then when people say diversity diversity of ideas are good. Diversity of culture that assimilate to the American vision is good. But diversity just for the sake of diversity, I think a lot of times if they don't assimilate to the American vision, it causes division. So diversity without assimilation ends up being division. And then you got these people, man, so they hating on that group. And these people hating on that group. And they hating on that group. And everybody come together to hate on the people that appears to be at the top. And that end up being white folks. That's why, I'm telling you, man, I hate to say this because it's true. But it's also true in a manipulative sense. If you look at it, you say the browner America gets, the crazier it gets. And it's only that way, not because people who are brown are not, it's because they have been grafted a bunch of people that do not believe in the American vision. And that's the honest to God truth. They keep bringing people in America from all around the world that do not believe in the American dream. And vicariously through that action is why you see the phenomenon, the browner it get, the worse it get. Same thing in Europe. They bringing in them Muslims in Europe. Now it's crazy. Now they say Paris is bad. And people from Europe say this. It ain't me. It's getting out of control. And it's sad because they don't bring in brown people that are good. They just bring in randos. It's not like America bringing the most diverse, inept people, or not inept, but the most diverse people that love the American dream that add value, because then we'll see a melting pot of a diverse group of people that are actually making a difference. They don't do that. They bring in people that are the lowest common denominator from everywhere, not all the time, but a lot of it, and then they flaunt them as diversity. Let's say this too. I want to say this and move on. Look at voting. Why is there no diversity in Democrat voting for the minorities? There's no real diversity in it. Black people vote 90-some% for Democrats. That's not diverse. That's not diverse. That's the manipulation of one-sidedness. You see, Mexicans, to be honest, Mexicans used to vote Democrat by and large. Even Jews be voting Democrat by and large. Silly. Anyway, let's get to this Zelensky thing. I'm going to finish the show with just the fallout. There's a whole bunch of clips I want to play in succession, so if you just started watching, you in for a treat. I'm going to play a couple clips in succession about the meltdown from the leftist media when it comes to this Zelensky nut job. I'll say this real quick. We were right. He came in there pompous. He came in there with his little bitty chest up, and Donald Trump and them had to put him in his place. The big dogs had to put the little chihuahua in his place. Don't come to this country trying to litigate and demand and shame us into giving you more money. You're losing anyway. To be honest, I don't care. Maybe I'm wrong. I wish I could have somebody that could defend Ukraine and that against Ukraine and bring them on the show and let them talk. Because I don't know enough about it, but it seems like Ukraine is wrong. It seems like we shouldn't continue this because there's no end. We're just funding them to keep losing over time. To what end? Okay, roll the clip.
Any communication with the administration since the Oval Office meeting? Have they reached out to you? And separately, you talked about resignation a few days ago. How are you thinking about elections?
Arrogant. Look at him.
Yeah. Ну, комунікації є.
There is communication.
Не на моєму рівні.
Not on my level.
Да.
Yes.
А що стосується
As regards
піти з посади,
resignation, my resignation.
Якщо мене міняти,
if
так я можу просто дати.
If I am to be changed, and I'll hear.
All right, I don't like this clip. Let's go to CNN's clip. Americans' approval of Donald Trump handling Ukraine. This is a better clip. Roll it.
Well, I think the easiest way we can kind of just ask this is, do Americans like the way that Trump's handling his job and compare it to how they felt about Joe Biden? So this is the net approval rating. You look at Joe Biden back in 2024, he was 22 points underwater. Holy cow. You look at Donald Trump, it's just a different planet entirely. I mean, the gulf between these two is wider than the Gulf of America or Mexico, depending on which side of the aisle you stand on. He's at +2. So, look, at this particular point, Americans are giving Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt. He's doing considerably better than Joe Biden was doing on the handling of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. And so on this simple question, I think Americans are saying, okay, Donald Trump's doing all right on this.
What about specifically on how they feel about bringing the war to an end?
Yeah, okay. So, you know, look, questions on this can be quite complicated, but I think this kind of gets at sort of where the American trend line is. Americans on the Russia-Ukraine war want a quicker end of the war, but Russia keeps its captured land. Look at this, 50%, bare majority coming in here, support Ukraine's right to fight, even if it means a longer war. That's at 48. This is very, very close. But the trend line on this question is so important because that want a quick end of the war, look at this. You go back to August of 2022, it was at 31%. Now we're at 50%. I mean, that is a rocket ship upwards in terms of the Americans who want a quick end to the war, even if it means Russia keeps the captured Ukraine land. Americans are moving closer and closer to wanting a compromise, even if it means that Ukraine doesn't really get what it set out to want, at least at the beginning of this war.
Yeah, because we keep spending more money and more money and more money and more money and more money. And people are dying and dying and dying and dying. We're going to be funding this for the next 25 years. And the fact that they don't want to cease fire is crazy to me. At least Zelensky don't want to cease fire. It's crazy to me. Let's go to Marco Rubio's clip. Roll it.
Resolution was? I'll tell you if you want to hear what it was. It basically said this has been a horrible war. It's time for it to end. The job of the UN is to bring about peace in the world. I thought that's what the UN was created to do, to stop wars and to prevent them. And that's what the resolution did. Was it antagonistic towards the Russians? No. Back to the point. But it also didn't praise the Russians. All it said is this is a bad war. It needs to end. And by the way, at the Security Council, which has not been widely reported, the first resolution on Ukraine that has passed the Security Council in 3 years, passed this week because of the leadership of President Trump, and it's a resolution that says bad war needs to end. Let's bring the two sides together. That's what the resolution is. Again, what is the United Nations for? Isn't it not a forum to promote peace in the world? And shouldn't we all be happy that we have a president who's trying to stop wars and prevent them instead of start them? And I just don't get it. I really don't, other than the fact that it's Donald J. Trump. If this was a Democrat that was doing this, everyone would be saying, well, he's on his way to the Nobel Peace Prize. This is absurd. We are trying to end a war. You cannot end a war unless both sides come to the table, starting with the Russians. And that is the point the president has made. And we have to do whatever we can to try to bring them to the table to see if it's even possible. I'm not promising you it's possible. I'm not telling you it's 90% likely. I'm saying it's 0% likely if we don't get them to a negotiating table. And the sooner everyone grows up around here and figures out that this is a bad war that's heading in a bad direction with death and destruction and all kinds of dangers surrounding it that could spiral into a broader conflict, the sooner people grow up and realize that, I think the more progress we're going to be able to make. But the president's crystal clear. He campaigned on it, and he's going to govern on it. And that is, he is going to be a president that tries to achieve peace, and he has been very clear this is a war that would have never happened had Donald Trump been in the White House, and it needs to end, and we're going to do everything we can to end it in an enduring and sustainable and fair way.
All right, I got 3 more clips. I'm going to finish it with the grown man crying, because that was the stupidest and craziest thing I ever seen in my life. Like, I literally want to jump through the camera and slap that dude. But I said I'm going to end it with that. I'm going to start with these other 2 clips first. I want to show Joe Biden losing his cool on Zelensky, and then I'm going to go to Scott Jennings, and then we're going to end it on the grown man crying. Okay, this is allegedly Biden losing his cool on Zelensky because he was too demanding. Roll the clip.
Yeah, that's right, Kate. So in this conversation, President Biden called President Zelensky to tell him about a roughly $1 billion package of additional equipment and weapons for the Ukrainian military coming from the United States. During the course of the call, President Zelensky continued, according to a number of officials who we spoke with who are familiar with the call, President Zelensky continued to talk about the additional equipment and weapons and support that he and his military needed. According to these officials, they said that President Biden finally just got frustrated and lost his temper and told President Zelensky, look, you could be a little bit more grateful. The reason that this story is interesting to us and is something that we are reporting on and officials are speaking to us about is because it shows that all these months ago, President Biden already realized that there was going to be a point where the American people, members of Congress, where people would start potentially pushing back on all these billions and billions of dollars of aid and equipment that the U.S. has been providing to Ukraine. And he knew that the narrative out there needed to be that the Ukrainian people and President Zelensky were grateful for it if this was the...
All right, so pretty much they said that they were lying to the American people about it. All right, let's go to Scott Jennings, and then we're going to end with that crybaby dude. Let's play Scott Jennings.
He needs Zelensky to recognize the position that he's in.
Which to you is what?
We're their patron. We're their best hope for the killing to stop and for them to emerge from this sovereign and prosperous. And we're also their best hope as a business partner. I mean, all Zelensky had to do today was put on a tie, show up, smile, say thank you, sign the papers, and have lunch. That's it. And he couldn't do that. And this followed 10 days of being difficult in private and now 1 day of being stupid in public. This did not have to go down this way.
Okay.
And however you feel about why it started, why it's going on, who's right and who's wrong, we can help them in this and come out okay on the other side, and he's making it hard.
Was he antagonized or baited into this, or was he just not appreciative of what Scott's saying as being the beneficiary of the United States?
Well, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I actually agree with Scott. And everything that he said was basically right.
Wow.
I know, I'm going to get killed on social media for admitting that, but so be it.
I think Donald Trump is doing an amazing job so far on the things that he ran on, immigration. The border is, just his taking office, the border is effectively shut down. The attitude changed from the federal government effectively closed the border. Look at the people coming across now. Look at the encounters today versus what was going on with Biden. I think on March 4th, you're going to hear them talk a lot about the success on immigration. As it relates to Ukraine, look, Zelensky made a huge mistake on Friday. All he had to do was show up and sign this deal, and he just couldn't do it. And sometimes these guys, when they put on the military uniform, they have trouble taking it off. He needs to take off the military garb, put on the garb of diplomacy and understand that he's got an honest new broker on the field who can actually help him end this war, maintain his sovereignty, maintain prosperity for the Ukrainians. And regarding Elon and the bureaucracy, if I just may respond to something you said about the bureaucracy, there seems to be, when Republicans are president, that this idea that the bureaucracy and the government should not be responsive to the political leadership of the executive branch. That is totally false. It has nothing to do with a loyalty test, but it does have to do with whether or not the unelected bureaucracy is responsive to the political oversight of the government. And Democrats right now do not seem to believe that the president should be able to be the president.
You should come to my town.
All right, let's go to the crybaby man. Now, this clip to me, somebody sent this to me. I thought it was a parody. But then I watched it and I said, wait a minute. This dude is really crying. This dude is really a coward. This dude is really a wussy with a P. I didn't say it. He said it himself, okay? This dude is the weakest, whiniest, cowardice dude that I've ever seen on the internet and internet history. I do not see how a man getting checked by other men will make another man cry. You cried, bro. You cried because he got checked. He got called out for not wearing a suit and tie, and you cried. This dude is a meme on the internet right now. Like, I've seen this 1,000 times, but I had to say something. And if you ain't seen this, be ready to watch the soy ooze out of this video from this softy that's crying over Zelensky. Roll the clip.
Why don't you wear a suit? Why don't you wear a suit? You're the highest level in this country's office, and you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see if you do you own a suit?
Is this a joke, bro?
This man is fighting for his country. A sovereign nation got invaded. His people were dying. And this motherfucker talks about him wearing a suit. I hate this fucking country.
I hate this country.
I've never in my life felt like I do right now. I don't give a fuck what he wears. This man has been respectful to every leader in the world. Everybody. And you clowns want to fucking do that shit to him when he comes over here. And then talk to him like shit and kick him out of the White House. You fucking disgraceful son of a bitches. Man, I just want to be next to Zelensky right now.
Grab his booty or something?
I wish I could talk to him. Forgive us. God damn, man, I can't. I'm sorry, y'all. I can't believe what I just witnessed in our White House.
See, now, if he playing and he mocking and he ain't really doing this, he deserved all the criticism he getting. I don't know if this is real or not. I ain't never seen a man this weak in my life. So it could be a parody. It could be. Y'all put that. Make sure you add this to the video, Nick, y'all. It could be a parody. Brandon's saying it could be a parody. But if it ain't a parody, homeboy, you crazy as a mud. I wish I was next to him. You want to touch him? It ain't Pride Month yet, bro. You want to be next to him? You want to rub his back? You want to give him a binky? You want to rock him to sleep? You want to burp him? What are you talking about? I wish I was next. He a grown man. Somebody criticize his suit, he can stand up for himself. His people are dying. Well, he over here in America talking to Trump now. Why don't he get on a... See, back in the day, presidents and leaders used to fight in the wars. They did. They on the battlefield. Now, they up in the suite, death scrolling on Instagram while they people getting slaughtered. Y'all don't realize in Ukraine, like, they can't get people that want to fight because it's a pointless war. And so they got to kidnap men, force them to fight. But y'all out here, I support Ukraine. I support Ukraine. He don't want a ceasefire. He don't want to put an end to this. Hey, man, you got to lick your wounds and just take it what it is. You just want to keep losing. You want everybody to keep funding you to keep losing. And then the president of the UK, or whatever they call him, the prime minister, or leader, or whatever, I think he's a president of the UK, is out here saying, we're going to commit $1 billion to Ukraine, and they're just fighting for their life. You know, to be honest, bro, I bet all this is bull. I bet Russia gave him a clear, concise demand, and we've been the UN has been encroaching on Russia all of these years, and Ukraine is another place where they have expanded the UN, and they promised that they wouldn't. Now you expanding and encroaching on Russia, and Putin is saying, I'm gonna fight for my people. I just imagine if China was doing that through Mexico. We're not gonna encroach anymore. They go to Brazil, they get South America, then they start going up to Mexico. Now it's at our border. Oh, well, okay, we're gonna have to do something now. Y'all expanding your fangs, or sinking your fangs closer and closer to our border. Now when y'all have that, y'all just a hop and a skip right over here. And Russia is saying, this is enough. If you do this, we're going to do this. And they did it, and they lose it, and now we spending hundreds of billions of dollars to help them. I don't know, man. I just be watching stuff, and it seemed like Ukraine wrong, to be honest. But I could be wrong. I'm not really that deep. I live in America. I don't give what happened to them. As long as our people can eat, I don't care. And if Russia take over that, or whatever they doing over there, that's fine. Just don't come over here. If they want to come over here, we turn into a parking lot. All right. All right, thank you, guys. Let's see. Do we got some super chats real quick? All right. All right, we got a lot of super chats. I'm going to try to run through these super chats real quick. I appreciate y'all watching the show. I appreciate you super chatting. Sorry that, we working on the show. I just want you to know this is my fault that I'm not, making it like a show, okay? We in the process of hiring people that can, that know how to do shows, because I don't know what I'm doing. And we just editors. We don't run shows for a living. So hopefully we can, make it a little smoother. But I'm sure y'all like it anyway. It's probably better than most people's shows, and we just, flying around. All right. Let's start at the top. This is the top? Yes, this is the top. Okay. Said bro, been a member for 51 months. I don't even know how many months that is. Hold on, 51 months. How many years is that? Been from the beginning. Well, said bro from the beginning. 51 months. Man, we got to do something for said bro. Said bro, send me an email. If you want some merch, you tell me what shirt you want. I'll send it to you for free. You want some T-Force? I'll send you one for free. 51 months. I appreciate you, my brother. All right. Said bro says someone needs to make a short video showing all the times that lib media said big, you know what, big balls. Then ended with Donald J. Trump, J.D. Vance, and Z-Man in the Oval Office. They did come on TV saying that. Big balls. His name is Big Balls. It's like, y'all really saying that on TV? I expect somebody to do that on YouTube. But y'all saying on national TV? Like he intended to make his username that so y'all can say it on TV and everybody's laughing. Anyway, Adam H., what's up, Tatum? Just want to say I appreciate your talk last week about staying consistent and working hard. I've been trying to figure something out, and that helped more than you know. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Crackheads and criminals, #1 in Democrat states, 100%. Thank you. Thank you, Dustin. Let's see, Ranger. We had a suicide by cop some time ago. Caller said someone broke into his apartment, and that caller was hiding in the bathroom. Caller gave his own description as the intruder and said intruder was armed. It's 3 a.m., lights off. Right? I think that it was, I don't know, the dude seems so out of it. He seemed convinced that there was people outside. That's the only reason why I say maybe he just having a psychotic episode. And then when the cops show up, he think they're not really cops. They're the enemy. And you know what I'm saying? And they ain't got nothing to do with the cops, though. They ain't got time to be going in your brain and trying to figure out what you thinking and what you ain't thinking. Bro, your cops pull up, put the gun down. Man, I wouldn't have got a gun in my... Intruder to come, cop pull up. He say, drop the weapon, and he drive off like he's scared. And I go, I had a gun in my hand. Man, I'm going to be like, don't shoot me, man. I'm good. Hey. Matter of fact, when I see him coming, I'm putting the gun down. Who in their right mind got a pistol in their hand and the cop say, drop the weapon, he drive off, and you just, the other cop come, he got a gun. I'm just gonna hold a gun in my hand. Can't believe he shot me. I call in a robbery in progress with an armed suspect. And they pull up and I go like this, and I got the gun in my hand, and I'm shocked he shot me. I mean, he may not be shocked, but his family seemed to be shocked. Come on, man. They indicted that cop over that, bro. They feeling that there's no way that cop don't win this case. But the fact that they indicted him and got him all in the court for no reason, his family got to pay all this money for attorneys and stuff, that's crazy to me. This cop is not going to be convicted. He shouldn't. It's crazy if he do. The law is on his side. Use of force is on his side. The case law is on his side. Testimony is on his side. 911 call is on his side. How does he get indicted on this is crazy to me. All right. Hey, Mr. Tatum, sent you a shirt about 3 months ago. I know you're busy, but was hoping to get your thoughts on it. Been in touch with your customer service. I'm not sure. You gotta give me some more specifics. Sound like someone's trying to run for office, right? Trump checked Zelensky. He black. That's funny. No hate super chat here. Thank you. Thanks for doing what you do. Appreciate it. Let's see. Platinum, thanks so much for the super chat. CC777. Let's say afternoon, Officer Tatum. Hope all well with you and your family. I appreciate it. Thank you. Let's see. James, the New Jersey Attorney General has to have been a Soros plant to gain traction for defunding police. This is why blue areas don't have enough police staff. You know, that's one thing I failed to mention in the video before is that he was a Soros plant. He also was like a anti-Trump. He's a part of the whole group of people suing Trump for the border and all this other stuff. He's a flaming leftist nut. And they indicted this officer. We're going to hold police accountable. I swear I hope this officer win. I would testify as an expert witness. I hope this officer win, and I hope he sue the living daylights out of everybody in the city of New Jersey. Let's see. Are you aware that Charlemagne... Oh, he was, I guess, accused of SA with the 15-year-old. He doesn't have to register as a SO, which is an offender, only because of bad parenting of the victim. It's awful. I ain't never heard of that. I'm not shocked, but I've never heard of that with a 15-year-old. I think I heard something floating around, but I never dug into that. So she's saying Charlemagne the God is, you know, it says aware of his, I guess his ex. Charlemagne's ex of our past history, maybe that's history, of SA with a 15-year-old. I'm going to look into that. Don, thanks so much for the super chat. Scooby-Doo, thanks for being a member for a month. Don, thank you. There is a group of Democrat targeting people who own Teslas, threatening to damage their Teslas. The left is eating their own. I know, it's so stupid. I swear Tesla was a left thing. A bunch of leftists bought Teslas and now they mad at him. They made him a billionaire and now they mad. Thank you, Officer Tatum, for supporting Corporal Already. I say his name wrong. Already, and Save the Storks. You know, I had a public school education, but I know I was going to say Officer Already's name, Corporal Already's name wrong. It's like alrighty, something like that. I gotta figure out how to say his name right. I feel like I'm saying it right, but my mind playing tricks on me. It's like, no, it's like this, like that. Regardless, the corporal should be at home with his family. He should be still working in patrol right now. And shout out to Save the Storks. The golf tournament was a success because I don't know how much we ended up raising in the golf tournament, but we definitely gave. We supported 2 holes, and it was great. We had fun smoking cigars. Golfing, my golf skills are trash, but the cigars were good. Let's see, Brady. Thanks so much for the super chat. I find it must that people are upset about Elon being in charge of Doge. He is literally one of the richest people in the world. He ain't dumb, right? I mean, he's not just rich; he's smart too. Like he's like ultra intelligent. Like his IQ is insane, but he's definitely not the right person for the job. Right? He only built the biggest company in America, I think second to Apple, or maybe Apple and Amazon. He only is like one of the wealthiest people in the world, and he's just definitely not the guy to hold people accountable. People are who did they pick then? Some broke dude? Let's see. Joseph, thanks so much for joining Tatum Squad. Let's see. Take heed to the message. Sir, I love watching your content. We don't agree on everything, but you are the truth. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, if you agree with me on everything, maybe we're in a cult. So I'm glad people disagree with me. Yeah, you ain't going to agree with everything. I don't agree with everything. I say sometimes. No, I'm just playing. I do say that I don't agree with everybody that I watch and that I trust and I love. Sometimes they say stuff and I'm like, God dang, I didn't agree with that. But I like the rest of it, so I'm going to keep watching. Let's see. Why do I only want the Lord's chicken on Sunday? And that's the day they don't let you get the Lord's chicken. I love this show, MAGA and Zelensky. 100%, man. Forget that dude, man. Come up in here talking reckless. They should have put some hands on him, but anyway. Officer Tatum, you crack me up with your impressions and how you cross your eyes. Did they even thank the police officer for saving lives? Right, 100%, Paula, 100%. My condolences go out to the man who tried to kill everybody and he got killed. Our condolences go out to his family. Not the people running for their lives, not the cop. These people are just, I just don't get it. I will never get it. Let's see, John, thanks so much for the super chat. I guess that would love to sit down with you sometime over a cup of coffee. I appreciate it. Send me a message on my thing. I don't know. If you're in town and you own a business or something, maybe we can chop it up. I'm telling y'all right now, I don't really like to just randomly meet up with people, right? If I have an event, you can come to the event. Unless you're a business owner and we know people that know people together, maybe we can do it. And no offense, I mean, I appreciate that. But I got to protect myself too. I don't know, somebody want to do something to me and lure me into a restaurant just for them to lose that battle. I don't want to have that on my consciousness, all right? So sometimes I'm a little skeptical. But if I have an event, come to the event. I got an event coming up. We're going to announce it soon. I think it's April the 1st. I got an event here in Scottsdale, Arizona. It's going to be amazing. So if you want to say what's up to me, come to that event. It's going to be a great time. Food, hors d'oeuvres, you name it. It's at a private residence. It's going to be great. And if you want to be there, you want to meet me, that's the best way to do it. I used to love going to Minneapolis, St. Paul, but now I don't because it's so dangerous, right? I mean, these places are corrupt. Let's see. I went to a progressive strip club last night. Diversity and equity are pretty good dancers. Nick, you ain't never been no strip club. I hope you ain't. Have you? Oh, thank God, because it ain't what you think it is. I've been to some when I was younger. Once when I was underage, and then the rest of them, it was like coerced. I ain't never just went to a strip club. Like when I was underage, I kind of like, I guess I go. I didn't want to go, but I went. They didn't ID me, and it was a horrifying experience. Because on the TV, and you think you finna see something up in there. I don't know. I must have went to a hole in the wall. The girl that did a lap dance on me was skinny. I could feel her bones on my legs. I was like, God dang. Then she put it right in my face. And I was like, God. I didn't say God at the time, but in my mind, I'm like, ugh. I think I was 17. I was like, they ugly. I thought they were cute in here. And then The other one, I can't remember the other time I got coerced into going. Because one of my good friends, family member, owned one, and I'm with him on New Year's, and I'm like, man, I don't want to go to this thing. So I went in there. I think we went in there for like a couple minutes. Then I went another time. I was with some people, and they go there, and I'm a Christian, man. I'm like, man, I didn't want to sit outside, so I said, I'll go in there, and I'm just going to sit in the back. I literally went in there and went to sleep. I put my head down in the back, and I went to sleep. That was my only experiences. Well, and then I had another experience, but I was a cop. And that's when you realize there's a hole in the wall. Right in Tucson, Arizona, right on Oracle. Y'all know what strip club I'm talking about. A girl got fired because she was drinking while she's stripping, and she refused to leave the locker room. So what do? Officer Tatum had to go to the call. So we go in the strip club, we go to the locker room, and it's rejects in there. I don't know what they didn't make the cut. I don't know what they rejects. They fat, some of them flabby, some of them ugly. It was bad in that strip club. They should sue for them women being in that strip club. Then the girl in the back, once we get all the girls out the locker room, she refused to put her clothes on. And it wasn't, let me say this. Can I say this? I'm just being real. It is never good, right? Every time you're a cop and you go to a call, naked woman running down the street. It's not like you see a model or something. You see the nastiest, stankiest woman. You're like, God dang. I can't believe I got to look at this. This girl, it ain't like you go in the strip club and you're going to see a dime in there. And you like, dang. Can you put your clothes on, ma'am? Can you put your clothes on? No, it's the nastiest, stankiest. Look like she just hit some crack before she did it. So she in there nasty, and we like, ma'am, you got to put your clothes on, please. So we went around the corner with her a couple times. Went in circles with her a couple times, and then she finally put a top on and her bottoms on, and she refused to listen to me. I get the cuff on her, and she started fighting me, so I went, boop, and she hit her nose right on the ground, and it was bleeding. And we had to hog tie her and walk out of there. Literally, I had her arms, somebody had her legs, and we carrying this woman out the strip club. I don't think she ever went back to that one. And I'm going to give y'all another story, which is hilarious. This woman at the bus stop, bro. Me and Fedor, James, they call him Fedor. James Fedor. He left the police department, but we were rookies together. We work in a midnight shift. So it's 6 a.m. We go to this car. It's cold outside. They go, woman at the bus stop exposing her breast to people, right? You would think maybe somebody that looked normal. No. That woman's stuff was down here. It was hanging here. And she had a male underwear wrapped around her head, and one of them was hanging in the underwear, the other one hanging down to her waist. And she had a mustache. she had a hair that was this long coming out the mustache, man. And she was nasty, and she smelled like tuna fish and all kind of stuff. And she said, I used to work right there at that strip club. She used to work at the strip club that we had to do that call at. She said, I used to work right there at that strip club, man, for many years. And we were like, that makes sense. That makes sense. So anyway, we had to tell her to put her stuff in a wrap, tied around her head, and put it in a underwear that she had on. But it was so funny, man. Me and Fedor was laughing so hard, man. She said, I work right at that strip club. And her legs were hairy. Like, it was the craziest thing you ever seen. And she was actually a woman, because we had taken her to jail 100 times, so she was in the system. That lady had her hair this long coming out a mole or something right here on her face. I wanted to just pull it out. Like, ma'am, come on, let me pull that out for you. You ain't got nothing going today. Let me pull that mole out, because that thing is crazy. And please put them things up, all right? Get you a better bra. Do we need to go to Walmart? We'll buy you one. She had a male underwear wrapped with one in it, another one hanging down her lap. It's the funniest thing ever. We had body-worn cameras. I wish I could have that body-worn camera. I'll show it to you. Obviously, it'll be blurred out, but you would know what I'm talking about. I watched a video of Ukraine soldiers dragging someone off the streets into a van. The guy was screaming bloody murder. Why isn't anyone showing that? 1,000%. I should do a whole expose on it. But they dragging these young men in there because nobody really want to fight for this pointless war. Zelensky probably feels this is like the 1994 trilateral statement which disarmed Ukraine and their nuclear arsenal and was supported or supposed to have the U.S., UK, and Russia guarantee their independence. Yeah, maybe. It's a good point. Charletta, thanks so much for the super chat. Gene, Zelensky is a child behaving like a Democrat, like the Democrat Party. Ungrateful. 1,000%. Let's see. Grown man look like he pinching his lips to cry. Right? What a weenie. I'm never gonna cry over a man. Cry over somebody calling out a man for not wearing a suit. It's crazy. Either your team or FedEx messed up and sent my package to the wrong place. It didn't come to my place. It went somewhere else in Texas. I'm not going to blast you, but let's talk this through just real quick. If Mike Bryan is your name, I'll look your case up. But when you order something from my store, we don't put your address in. I just want people to know that. We don't put your address in. So it's impossible for us to mess up your address. So whatever address you put in is the address that we're going to print the label to ship to. Now, if it goes somewhere completely off, then that's FedEx. But 9 times out of 10, people be putting the wrong address in. And then it gets to FedEx and they call me. Or this don't have an apartment number on it. It's not even a real address. And I'm like, I don't know what to say. Just send it back to us and we'll contact the customer. But no, I ain't gonna put it here because I couldn't do this live because then I'll be putting your address out there. But you know, people be sending it. So it maybe you're right about FedEx, but just so everybody watching this know, you put the super chat in. We can't mess your address up. It's impossible. That thing come through the system. You put your mail in it. You put your shipping address in there, and it goes through the system. It tells us where it's shipped to. We print the label out. We put the label on your package. FedEx guy come through here and pick up all the orders, and they scan in their system as they pick it up. Then they charge us. So that's how we know that they verify. They look at it. They scan it. The system gets scanned. They charge us. It shows us what zone and everything on our FedEx account. So more than likely it's you, my man. It could be. We'll look into it. However, we do have a customer service line. And last time I checked, customer service ain't on super chats. So I'll try to look into it, but we have no information about it right now. So I don't know how I can fix that for you. But if you go to our support at theofficertatumstore.com and you have an issue, you can go to the support. It's found on the website, all of the above. If you have an issue with FedEx, call FedEx. Okay. All right. Okay, let's see. Zelensky threatened our oceans. Set Trump off. Sick. 100%, man. You talking all that crap. We should put out, yeah. All right. What happened here? Is this a new one? How did this happen? Anyway. Thank you for your fact-based, no nonsense approach. Unlike the spin and propaganda from networks like CNN, you provide real information. It's refreshing to get the truth without media manipulation. Keep up the great work. I appreciate you, brother. Let's see. There is only one E-race, the human race. Everything else is color and culture. We need to get over ourselves. 1,000%. I love it. Hey, I appreciate you guys super chatting. We'll see you guys on the next show. God bless you. God bless America. We're out.
Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave. I'm a proud American.